Thank you, Afia. Had I known that Vandana Shiva will be speaking before me, I would have prepared my point somewhat differently. But she's spot on that we have to think in terms of ecologically living economic systems. We are sons and daughters of monsoon. They begin from Bay of Bengal and touch the upper reaches of Himalayas. And the contiguity and the continuity of ecosystem has to be sovereign, or other sovereigns have to be subservient to this ecosystem continuity. This includes our basins as well. As much as I love my country, and I'm sure you love yours, the ecosystems transcend transboundary, our international borders and frontiers. So therefore, we have to think somewhat innovatively that how best we can cooperate and collaborate. I had very arrogantly said that I'll cover 5 points in 5 minutes. Let me quickly see if I can cover at least some of them. 5 challenges, climate challenges, I call them, for South Asia. First and foremost is population. Population in the sense that most new babies born in South Asia are born in poor families. So the poverty is still on the increase, as much success as we can claim. 2, it is also very deeply linked to our carbon emissions, and the increasing population will contribute to that. So it is at the heart of equity, and one of the most central challenges of South Asia is equity. And unless we win the equity battle, we cannot win the climate battle. It's at the heart of justice, climate justice. The second issue linked with population is air quality. It's fundamentally a health issue, and it's fundamentally an equity issue. It hurts poor more than it hurts people like you and me. And the more people leave their neighborhoods because of poverty and growing, diminishing returns from their ecosystems, more population in urban areas increasing, and more density and more pollution becomes their fate. So as South Asia is becoming one of the most urbanized regions in the world, it becomes a central issue for us in terms of air quality and the fuels that we use, and thinking about the alternatives. Third issue I rank very important is migration, both internal and external. Much of it is because of climate change, because of poverty, because of environmental degradation, because of shrinking livelihood opportunities. I have recently visited Rohingya communities in Karachi. They leave not only because of persecution, but they also leave because of diminishing economic opportunities. And the host community there leave fishing because they find more economically rewarding day jobs in urban areas in their neighborhood. And the fourth issue that I wanted to touch is very close to my heart, as Afia mentioned, is water. Water, because of climate change, has become increasingly more uncertain. For South Asia, for most of South Asia, climate change means being more wet or more dry. This means increased frequency of flooding and more frequency and prolonged period of droughts. South Asia is littered, if you create a map, to see that we'll have concurrently droughts and floods in the same country at the same time. And because in Bangladesh and Nepal and Pakistan, between 4 countries, we share most of our transboundary rivers, where more than half of our population lives. Ecosystems and basins have to be the driving force. They're not thus far. We are fragmented, we are partitioned, and a few good points before I conclude in last 1 minute or so that I'm left with. Fortunately, at least India, Pakistan have Indus Water Treaty, and also other countries like Nepal and Bangladesh also have treaties with. And India-Pakistan treaty is in part volumetric treaty. Because of uncertainty that's emerging because of climate change, there'll be increasing disputes, and we have to find out what are the best ways to make it climate smart or how to climate proof water treaties in South Asia. And that's an essential step for us. We have to think in terms of managing water scarcity in a particular season or a series of seasons of 4 or 5 years, which may mean water debt, which means that in a dry period, you have water, but you owe to downstream neighbor. And in a more rainy season, you provide more water and then compensate. And that cannot be done on a yearly basis. It has to be seen in 5 or 10 year basis. Then there is an intentionally created debt that we have to think of. You have more water, you use it because the downstream country may not need it at the time, but when the downstream country needs it more, you pay your debt. So meaning by the volumetric system has to be replaced by a complex system that encourages collaboration between the inhabitants of the ecosystems. Remember, India and Pakistan may not be there in a few hundred years' time. Sorry to say that, but inhabitants of this country would be. So finally, last sentence is we need to delink economic growth from carbon growth. We have to delink economic growth from water consumption pattern. And we have to delink our economic growth from urbanization and see if it can be subservient to ecosystems, as Vardhana said so gracefully. Thank you so very much.